Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Amma ba'du fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Do you know the greatest invention of all time? If you know, raise your hand. What?
Air.
Air? No. Who else? Bukhari Sahib. Yes. Bukhari Sahib, Junior Bukhari Sahib. Come on, man. You're looking for an easy answer. Yes. Not exactly. Yes, sir. A wheel. The greatest invention ever invented is actually a wheel. If you look at why it is considered the greatest invention of all time, if you look at the wheel itself, it's just a wheel, not a big deal. But when you actually see where can you find a wheel, you'll be surprised. Everywhere you go, you'll find some sort of a wheel. Now, the greatness of an object is defined by the scope of its use and operability. The greater the scope and its operability, the more it speaks to the greatness of the object or the invention. And similarly, it would speak to the greatness of the one who created it. Now, you would find a wheel anywhere between automobiles, aerospace industry, computer hardwares, medicinal equipment, nuts, bolts, even the lid on the water bottle that I was drinking from. Even that is round in shape. Ever wondered why the lids are always round and not some other shape? Because of their operability. You will find wheels regardless of wherever you are. Wherever you go, you'll find wheels. Now, I'm pretty sure the guy or the lady, whoever came up with a wheel, did not envision the scope of their invention. It was probably accidental that they came up with the idea of a wheel. But they were not sure how far this invention will go. Now, contrast that with the Holy Quran. We'll take the same measure, the gauge that one would use to see how great a wheel is. We can take the same measure and see why Quran is considered great, why the Holy Quran is considered Quran-e-Azim. So, first and foremost, let me tell you what Allah Ta'ala Himself says in the Holy Quran. Allah Ta'ala says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ma farratna fil kitabi min shay'in. Chapter 6, verse number 39, that we have not left out anything of the Holy Quran. In other words, whatever you're looking for, you'll find it in the Holy Quran. Size-wise, Holy Quran is a very compact book. It's 1/8 of the Holy Bible. 1/8. If you stack 8 Holy Qurans on top of each other, the number of words, letters that would be in those 8 copies of the Holy Quran would equal only 1 Holy Bible. But yet Allah Ta'ala says, Ma faratna fil kitabi min shay. We haven't left out anything in this book. Now let me give you a very brief overview, a bird's eye view sort of what actually is mentioned in the Holy Quran. Knowledge of the past, present, and the future, which is called the prophecies. Complete code of life, spiritual and secular. It has mentions of scientific phenomenons to a point where when Dr. Abdul Salam Sahib, rahimahullah, when he was awarded with the Nobel Peace Prize in the field of particle physics, he, in one of the interviews, mentioned that he was motivated by the Holy Quran. A religious text motivating a scientist. He said, the reason is that 1/8 of the Holy Quran is pure science. This is coming from someone who's not just an Ahmadi Muslim, but a Nobel laureate. One could argue that, of course, he would be somebody who would know what he was talking about. History of nations is mentioned. And then, of course, guidance on various forms of transactions is also captured in this book. The guidance on establishing interpersonal, intersocietal peace and connection between us, the human beings, and our God, our Creator. Now, all these things are mentioned in the Holy Quran. Put it this way. You go to Walmart and you want to buy a vacuum cleaner. Or you go to IKEA. You want to purchase something from there. Let's say a study table. It comes with a manual. It tells you how to use it, how to build it, how to use it, how the operability of that object, you can maximize the operability. Consider our life given to us as a vacuum cleaner that you may get from a Walmart. Now, you're not the inventor of the vacuum cleaner. You did not make it. The same way, my life given to me is not a byproduct of any of my actions. I didn't do anything to be alive. Allah Ta'ala gave me this life. So the creator, the inventor of my life is God. Begs the question, just like a vacuum cleaner that has a manual, is there a manual to life? That is the Holy Quran. It tells you how to live your life. What are the pitfalls that you can avoid? Now, that said, I want to highlight some of the aspects of the teachings of the Holy Quran that we actually listened in today's 2 addresses, back-to-back addresses of Sayyidina Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis, Ayyadahullah bin Nasr al-Aziz. Hazur first delivered an address to the National Ijtima of Lajna Ma'ila UK, and then a second address to the National Ijtima of Ansarullah UK. In the very outset, the very beginning of Hazur's address to Ansarullah, Hazur said that he, few hours ago, addressed the Lajna, and he said, don't think that whatever I said to Lajna is just for them. It's equally applicable on men. That's how actually Hazur started his speech, which we listened just an hour or so ago. So, just to capture a few of the beautiful teachings of the Holy Quran, Hazur said, and I quote, Islam's teachings are based upon the reality of human nature, and thus our Ahmadi ladies and girls must ensure that their dress remains modest and at the very least is according to the minimum standards of parda. Now these minimum standards of parda are not the ones that I may think of or you may think of. It's what the Sharia of Allah Ta'ala, the Holy Quran says, what is the minimum standard? That is what Hazur is talking about. Continuing, Hazur said that the promised Messiah ﷺ challenged those who opposed Islamic parda and asked if an absolutely free society did not lead to moral decline, he would accept their view. However, this is certainly not the case, as immoralities in the societies are flourishing. Of course, Hazur also spoke about our children being exposed to social media and the type of education or things that are taught in our schools these days in the name of education. Our kids are being exposed to certain types of concepts that is too far difficult for them to understand at a tender age. And even in certain cases, they shouldn't even be exposed to those things that unfortunately the current educational system is exposing them to. But the ultimate purpose of the Holy Quran, this is where it all sort of encapsulates. This is the climax. And this is where I will end. the absolute climax of the Quran, the purpose, the ultimate goal of the Holy Quran is Jannat. Is there any individual who's sitting here, whatever your understanding of Jannat be? Some say, Promised Messiah Islam has mentioned that Hamari ala lazat hamare khuda mein hai, that our greatest pleasures and paradise is in our God. So again, whatever your understanding of paradise is there any individual who does not want to be in paradise when they pass away? Nobody. Everybody wants to be in paradise. So the ultimate goal, the ultimate purpose of the Holy Quran, and this is why it's so important, the most important thing you'll come across in your life, is because this is that roadmap which will take you to paradise. Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Takwir chapter 81, verse number, I believe 14 or thereabout, Allah Ta'ala says, وَإِذَا الْجَنَّةُ أُزْلِفَتْ, and when the paradise is brought near. Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani, Sayyidina Muslim Maud radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, in his Tafsir Kabir and also Tafsir Saghir, has commented on this verse, and he said, time comes when in a society immoralities increase significantly. And the previous verses talk about when the hellfire is made ablaze, meaning society becomes extremely corrupt to a point where it's very easy for people to drift away and end up in hell. The natural conclusion of that would be that at that very time, Jannat should also become easy to attain. Like Holy Prophet ﷺ used to say, Al-Jannatu tahta zilal suyufi, that paradise is under the shadow or shade of swords. Similar concept. So, how can we attain paradise in this life? And the easiest for an Ahmadi Muslim, one of the easiest things that our Jama'at has put in place, Promised Messiah Islam has put in place, because Allah Ta'ala told him to do so, is Nizam-e Wasiyat. Is Nizam-e Wasiyat. Some people may say, well, is this based on the Holy Quran? Yes, it is. This very verse speaks of it. Hazrat Muslim Maud said, this verse speaks of Wasiyat. In this day and age, if you want to enter paradise, become a member of Nizam-e Wasiyat. Now, who doesn't want it? But if my words are not sufficient, let me end my talk by presenting two very short excerpts of Sayyidina Khalifatul Masih Ayyadahullah Ta'ala. First one is with a meeting with the National Majlis-e-Amla of Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya, New Zealand, on 1st of November 2013, published in Daily Al-Fazl. Hazur said, and I quote, "Draw the attention of your Amla members and remind them that everyone should join the institution of Wasiyat. But you should not force them to do this. If someone says that he or she cannot join the Wasiyat because he is unable to fulfill the conditions of the Wasiyat, then you can ask them whether they are fulfilling the 10 conditions of Ba'ath. And that if they are not doing so, then they cannot even remain an Ahmadi. The aim is to try to live up to these conditions, and one should continue to strive towards this." In other words, Hazur is saying, Wasiyat does not add anything to the conditions of Ba'ath that we already gave our allegiance upon to Khalifatul Masih. When we said we want to be an Ahmadi Muslim and we said we'll do the Ba'ath of Khalifatul Masih, guess what? We did the Ba'ath on those 10 conditions. Wasiyat does not add a single condition to the 10 conditions that Promised Messiah Islam put forth. So when somebody says, oh, I don't think I'm ready, what is it that they're not ready for? Are they not ready to be considered an Ahmadi? Because that's what Hazur is saying. The only point that comes to mind is that maybe they're not ready to pay the extra chanda that they might have to. That's the only thing that is left otherwise. And to that point, Hazur addresses this. And this is where I end. Hazur said, you should urge those who hold official positions to join the institution of Wasiyat. So don't think that this is only for the office holders, but in this specific excerpt, Hazur is addressing office holders. He said, you should urge those who hold official positions to join the institution of Wasiyat. It is quite true that they are not bound to do so, but you too are not bound to choose them for an official position just because they are graduates. Instead, you should elect those as officials who act upon religious teachings, and who, after having pledged the bath of to the promised Messiah Islam, have joined the institution of wasiyat that he established, even if they are less educated. So in this excerpt, Hazur is saying that if somebody says it is their majburi that they cannot become a musi, then it is not the majburi of Nizam-e-Jama'at to then have such individuals serve as office holders. The point again, as Hazur mentioned, is to encourage the people that look, in this day and age, promised Messiah asked us to only do one thing. He only gave us one action item. And if even on that we are saying, oh, we're not ready, that maybe Allah Ta'ala will put it in my heart. How else do you want Allah Ta'ala to put it in your heart? Do you want Allah Ta'ala to send you revelation personally? That, hey, XYZ, you need to do wasiyat? What is it that is stopping you? What is it that you need that would convince you that you need to do this? Look, I get zero benefit if any one of you joins wasiyat. Nobody else will benefit if you do wasiyat. The only individual who will benefit is yourself. And the point is, this is what Quran is teaching us. And I hope that we realize the significance of this moment. Our beloved Aqā, our beloved Hazur will be arriving inshallah ta'ala in about 8 days. If not now, then when? Wa akhiru dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.